Hey everyone, my name is Swapnil and you're watching me on 91mobiles.com, and today I would like to talk to you about photography, especially smartphone photography. Smartphones have come a really long way when it comes to taking photos in good light, but one area where they still tend to falter sometimes is when you're shooting in low light. Either your exposure is not correct or maybe your subject is not in focus. Understanding these shortcomings is the reason why smartphone makers have started to include a professional mode in the stock camera app. Today, I'm going to walk you through the professional mode on the Moto G5s Plus, which I have with me today, and I'm going to walk you through every single setting so that you know how they work and you can make sure that no matter what photo you take in what lighting conditions, the result is as good as possible the phone can deliver. So let's move on ahead. So let's just walk you through what it's like to use the professional mode on your default camera. Typically, you will not see the professional mode setting right up in the open. So you may have to go into the settings. So over here I did, and then there's professional mode. A number of settings will pop up over here. The first one in case of my phone, the Moto G5s Plus, is the focus setting. Now when you're shooting in low light, typically smartphone cameras will have some trouble locking focus. Therefore, it is better to just estimate the distance between you and the camera, set your focus manually, and then shoot. So that's when it comes to manually focusing. It's not that hard. Second, you have white balance. Now white balance determines the way colors are represented in your photograph. Whether the photo is too warm, which means it has too much of a yellow cast, or if it's too cold, which means it's too blue. That's something you control with white balance. Normally, for taking nighttime shots, you may want to choose either the tungsten bulb setting or a tube light setting that you will see in terms of the logo, or you have various other options. Then there's cloudy, and what this essentially does is it tells the camera that it's cloudy, so everything is bluer, and therefore turn the photo up a little towards the yellow side, and vice versa. If you're in a situation where there's mixed lighting, auto white balance is just better to go with. Third, you have the shutter speed. Now depending on whether you want to freeze action or take light trails, you're going to have to set your shutter speed accordingly. You can go to a very slow shutter speed, like over here I've gone to 1/4 of a second. This will allow me to shoot light trails. If there are objects with light that are moving, they will appear as streaks of light. Or if I want to stop motion and freeze motion, I can go all the way to 1/1000th of a second. The problem with going to 1/1000th of a second at night time is that there isn't enough light. So what do? You come to the fourth setting, which is ISO. Over here, just turn the ISO up all the way to, let's say, 3200 or whatever the maximum your camera may support. Sometimes you may not even need to turn it all the way to the maximum, and it will just work out well for you. It's very important to find the optimum balance between the ISO speed and the shutter speed so that you're able to get the shot right. Remember, the faster your shutter speed, the higher the ISO will need to be if you're shooting in low light. Last but not the least is exposure compensation. Now let's say you feel that at given settings, your exposure is still a little dark or a little over. You can just use this exposure compensation dial, typically indicated by a plus minus symbol, to tweak the settings a little bit. And if you do that, you will be able to get the photo just right. Now remember, in some cameras, if you have a manually set shutter speed and a manually set ISO, this may not work. So you will have to do that. You'll have to turn off the manual settings on your shutter speed and your ISO to get your exposure compensation to work. And that's basically how the professional mode is going to work for you on your smartphone camera. Now that you know how all of these settings work, you can go out and take photos of the world around you in great detail, and you can shoot in manual mode, get the right exposure, get the right color, and even create some interesting effects now that you can control your shutter speed and your ISO. And I'm hoping that you will be able to do just that with Diwali coming up. If you enjoyed the contents of this video, you can like this video, share it with your friends, or just subscribe to our page for more such amazing content. Thank you for watching.